Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I am Messi, and in today's video we're going to be ventilating a jumbo box braid. I'm also going to be telling you how to avoid lace tearing while you're ventilating. So first of all, I'm starting out by measuring the box we're going to ventilate, which is a 2x2 box or 2" by 2" box. So I'm using this tissue paper just so you can see the line properly. I usually do not do this. I actually would just go ahead to ventilate like that. You can easily use the tissue paper. You could use a colored tape, the green colored tape, whichever one works for you. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go ahead and use the tissue paper so you can see it clearly. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin down that lace. You want to go ahead to pin it very firmly but not so tight so your needle can pass through also. So the hair I'm going to be using is a normal black attachment, a normal black cannoli attachment, but this attachment is the LUSH braid. All right, so I just went ahead to cut it into 4. Normally if I'm doing the smaller braids, I'll cut it into maybe 6 or 5, but because it's a bigger braid, you want to go ahead to cut it into 4. I do not advise cutting it into 6, just so like it's long enough and you don't have like any flyaways, right? So I'm going to go ahead to take just a little from that to ventilate with. You don't have to use the full extension on your hand. I find out taking a little actually makes it easier when you're ventilating. And when you take that little, you want to go ahead to use a take comb and just comb it out. I didn't show me combing out the extension, but you want to go ahead and use a take comb just to avoid it from tangling. Also, you want to go ahead comb out that extension you're using. It's going to get all the shorter hair out, so when you're ventilating it's much more easier. You don't have like hairs disturbing you. Okay, so what I like to do first of all, I like to spread the hair on my little index finger. I spread it so it's easy for me to pick up with my ventilating pin. So now we're ventilating our box. All right, so for ventilating the box consists of 2 rows and 2 columns, obviously, and I'm going to be doing 5 lines with each of them. I'm doing 5 lines because this is like a jumbo braid, all right, but normally I'll go ahead to do 3 lines, and that would work for me perfectly. So if you're new to my channel, I should let you know that I do not ventilate the middle of my box because I find that extremely unnecessary, and sometimes it can make it like bulky, and I like my braids to kind of lay flat, and that works for me. But whatever works for you works for you. But for me, I do not ventilate the middle of my braids, so 5 lines is actually enough for me. And if you want to go ahead to make it like 6, 7, that also will work, especially if you're taking, as you can see, I'm only taking 2 strands for this front part. Sometimes I take 2 or 3, 4, but I never go beyond 3, 4 or 5. That's the least amount of like strands that I can ventilate with, and that is only when it's like inside. All right, that's inside the box. That's when I can ventilate like 5 strands. But where you can actually see, I go ahead to ventilate 2 or 3. That just makes the knot a lot more tinier and not like way big, because if the knots are big, it's going to give that very unnatural looking kind of braids, and you don't want to have that. You want to go ahead to ventilate as tiny strands as you can. You want to go ahead to ventilate from 2 strands to 3 strands, and when you're inside the box braid, then you can do 4, 5, but you should not take anything more than 5 strands at a time. And that's only when it's for like the last braid, the last ventilating line. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me know if it doesn't make sense down in the comment section. So very quickly, I'm going to talk about lace tearing. Lace tearing can happen to anybody. Honestly, be you a professional or you're just learning, but the thing is that you have to learn how to tackle it. It could be your fault, right, or it could be the fault of the lace you're using, whichever one. But yeah, some things you can do to avoid your lace from tearing. Okay, so the direction where you place your mannequin is very important when you're ventilating. You want to make sure the pin can pass in and out without any struggle. You want to make sure your pin can come in and out of your lace without you struggling with it, because when you place your mannequin well on your leg or on the wooden, whatever one you use, when you place it well, you want to make sure it can come out, because if you're struggling with it, it's going to tear when you're ventilating. So you want to make sure it's smooth. Normally I won't even place my my needle like this, but it's still smooth for me like this. But because I'm videoing, I'm actually placing it like this so you can actually see what I'm doing. But you want to make sure that it can come out smoothly. I would have actually angled it a lot more better, but like this angle is still fine. But just keep it in mind, you want to make sure your needle can go in and out without struggling. So one thing I also do to avoid lace tearing, I don't know how to make this make sense, but please stay with me, is you see those little pins. Before I start ventilating a place, I make sure to pin around that place, that area I'm ventilating, because when I pin it down, I kind of stretch it a little bit, right? I stretch it a little bit so my needle can kind of pass through it more easily, and there will be like a lot more space for my needle to go in and out. So one thing you want to be careful is you don't want to stretch it too much, but you want to stretch it a little bit so your needle can pass through it, right? And you don't want to pin it down so tight your needle cannot pass through it. Honestly, ventilating is like, it's a technique, but once you get down the techniques, it becomes very easy for you to achieve actually. So another thing I notice is I've seen people ventilate, and when they ventilate, they put pressure on the net instead of putting pressure on the pin. I don't know how to make this make sense, but please, I don't know how to make this make sense, but they put pressure on the net. And the thing is, if you ventilate, you actually get what I'm saying, right? If you try out and ventilate, you see what I'm saying is. So especially if you're using an HD lace, we all know how tiny and how fragile the HD lace is. So putting pressure on the lace would actually tear it. So one thing I'm going to show you when I'm ventilating, if you look at me very closely, is when I pass my pin under, I kind of turn it. I don't know if you see it, but I kind of turn it to be flat. That kind of somehow remove the pressure from the lace because I'm putting the pressure on the pin, especially if it's going to take time for me to kind of get those strands. You want to make sure you're not putting pressure on the lace. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're ventilating. You don't want to put pressure on the lace. Putting pressure on the lace somehow can even be like when you're taking the strand, especially if you're using a ventilating needle like I'm using, exactly the one I'm using. When you're taking the strand, sometimes you kind of put the needle up, so it kind of cuts the lace and tears it. I really don't know if that makes sense, to be honest with you, but if you're ventilating, if you have these tips in mind, you kind of get what I'm saying. You're looking at me, you might not get what I'm saying, but if you're ventilating and you have these tips in mind, you're going to get what I'm saying.
It was years ago, but how can I forget? We were 16 up all night. Love and heartbreak was our life. We got drunk and smoked your dad's cigarettes. Dreamt of a life in a big town.
So this is the first line. This is what it's looking like. You can see how very natural looking is looking like. Okay, so you want to make sure you take your time. 2 strands for the place that's visible. For your first 3 lines, you want to take 2 strands. Then if you're getting into the other lines, you can go ahead to take 3-4 lines. That's my advice if you want the very natural looking ventilation. And then again, you can go ahead to use cannoli hair like I'm using. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Or you can go ahead to use your normal human hair, or you can go ahead to use whatever hair works for you, to be honest. You can ventilate whatever color also. So my lovelies, that's all the points I'm dropping in this video. You can ask me any question you have down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching and clicking my video, especially if this is your first time watching my channel. Thank you so much for clicking. Make sure to let me know what you want to see more on my channel down below also. Thank you so much for clicking and watching to this point of the video, and I'm gonna let you enjoy the rest of this video. Love you. Mwah.
Still think of you. Still dream of you. But if you hold me close, I won't let go again. We have time to grow. This wasn't a mistake, and we can grow old if you love me was years ago, but I still see your face. Freckles on your cheeks, how you talked in your sleep. We had plans and I was your biggest dream, yeah. Then I didn't call for weeks, thought the love wasn't for me, no. I still think of you. I still dream of you. But if you hold me close, I won't let go again. We have time to grow. This wasn't a mistake, and we can grow old if you love me again, my friend. This time is different, so please do not let me go. Please do not let me go. I still think of you. But if you hold me close, I won't let go again. We have time to grow. This wasn't a mistake, and we can grow old if you love me again, my friend. This time is different, so please do not let me go. Please do not let me go. Please do not let me go. It was years ago, but how can I forget? We were 16 up all night. Love and heartbreak was our life. You're gone now. Will you coming back? Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. You're the traveling kind. It's a known fact. Yeah, I know that. Once you've seen all the things, all the places, I hope it means that you'll come home to me. Once you've traveled the world, all the spaces inside your heart, I hope I'll be your end destination. I hope I'll be your life-changing sensation. I hope I'll be something that you won't let go. I'll be your high when you fall down low. I hope I'll be your end destination. You're far away and yet so close. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, you're up in space. You're inside the noise. I can feel you. Once you've seen all the things, all the places, I hope it means that you'll come home to me. Once you've traveled the world, all the spaces inside your heart, I hope I'll be your end destination. I hope I'll be your life-changing sensation. I hope I'll be something that you won't let go. I'll be your high when you fall down low. I hope I'll be your end destination. You're gone now, but you're coming back. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. You're the traveling kind. It's a known fact. Yeah, I know that. I hope I'll be your end destination. the places. I hope it means that you'll come home to me. Once you've traveled the world, all the spaces inside your heart. I hope I'll be your destination. I hope I'll be your life-changing sensation. I hope I'll be something that you won't let go. I'll be your high when you fall down low. I hope I'll be your destination. You're gone now, but you're coming back. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. You're the traveling kind. It's a known fact. Yeah, I know that. I hope I'll be your destination. I hope I'll be your life-changing sensation. I hope I'll be something that you won't let go. I'll be your high when you fall down low. I hope I'll be your destination. You're gone now, but you're coming back. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. You're the traveling kind. It's a known fact. Yeah, I know that. Once you've seen all the things, all the places, I hope it means that you'll come home to me. Once you've traveled the world, all the spaces inside your heart. I hope I'll be your destination. I hope I'll be your life-changing sensation. I hope I'll be something that you won't let go. I'll be your high when you fall down low. I hope I'll be your destination. You're far away and yet so close. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, you're up in space. You're inside the noise. I can feel you. Once you've seen all the things, all the places, I hope it means that you'll come home to me. Once you've traveled the world, all the spaces inside your heart.